Hey everybody, it's Matt again. Today we're going to cover something that I learned really early on in the community, and it shaped everything that I ever learned. And for you guys, it's going to shape it for you too. So I was just thinking, I have a list of these lessons that I want to have for you and get out to you. And then I was just thinking about it, and I'm like, gosh, this was one of the first things that I ever learned, and it really doesn't make sense if I don't share it with you. Today we're going to talk about a concept that governs really everything that we talk about, and it governs all the decisions that your prospects make. Now, before we hit on it, we're going to talk about what we've all been taught, the lie that we've been taught. And every one of us, when we've gone through a sales training class, when we've read a sales training book, maybe on YouTube or anywhere online where we watch somebody, they always talk about the fact that there's this sales system that, they have different versions of it. You have ABC selling, you have social selling, you have, there's a million different ones. You can name all of them off, and I'm not going to bore you with that. And it all surrounds this artificial structure that they have that has nothing to do with reality. And within that, there are the things that we're used to hearing, that we have to overcome objections, we have to build rapport, that we have to do a lot of role playing, that it's really important to make sure that we're reading books about morale and how to structure, the different responses that we get. And it's almost like we're practicing against a computer, against something that doesn't really know what's going on. And, if we just execute this system well and just say the same mechanical things over and over well, that all of a sudden we're going to have better sales results. And I always believed that. I thought that until the day that I actually got out and started being in sales. And then I quickly realized that I am going up against ninjas. I am not fighting against white belts, and it's not an easy fight. I'm going up against 19th degree ninjas, as if there is such a thing. But the whole point is, it didn't end well. My first sales job, as I've said before, I didn't sell anything. And I was actually thinking about it this week on some of the dumbest excuses that I got that I actually bought into. And that was from just the people that I talked to. So what we're going to talk about today is something that really was part of my mindset when I just really decided to scrap everything that I learned about sales training and focus on what I learned in the community and applying it to my sales job. And the first concept that they taught me in here was this concept called social dynamics. And basically what it means is that when we are in a one-on-one situation with somebody, or even in a group, we behave totally differently because the actions that we have here are not in a bubble. All of our actions have social consequences. They can make us look really good, or they can make us look like a moron. And everything that we do every single day does that. Even the things that we buy. So we're going to buy things really to fit in. We'll spend an insane amount of money on a house or a car. But if we were to strip out all of this noise and ask ourselves, would we do the same thing all over again? So if you live in a place, and I do here in San Diego, where the housing is insanely expensive. For example, if you were to ask one of my neighbors when I lived in Cincinnati, would you pay the amount of money that an average person pays for housing here in San Diego? They would say you're nuts. And the reason I know that is because when I was moving out here, I looked at what housing was, and it was literally double. And so why would somebody do that? Maybe somebody wants to live out in San Diego, but realistically, it's not what you pay for housing. It's what you pay for housing to be around people who you identify with. And the same thing with the car. Some people pay an insane amount of money just to have a car to keep up appearances with their neighbors. Other people have the same car, they've driven forever, it's been paid off, and it really doesn't matter to them. Those people are very rare. And the same thing goes in sales. The behavior that people have toward us is governed by a set of social rules. And it's these rules that we call social dynamics. So let's reverse this out for a little bit. When we run into a salesperson, there's a certain set of unwritten rules that we all go by. Number one, we don't want to be a jerk. Why? I mean, maybe we should be a jerk, right? I mean, it would work. It would get the person out of our face faster, and it's a great time management technique, and some people use it. I mean, we could just totally light them up, curse them out, just lay them out verbally. I mean, it's a great time management technique. It's going to work. These people are not going to stick around. But obviously, the counter argument to that is we don't want to be seen like as a jerk. And it's not even like somebody's going to tell us that we're a jerk, but we just know in our own mind, man, that was a total jerk move, and we're not going to do it. At the same time, people have varying degrees of what they tell people on the honesty scale. I mean, we don't want to outright lie to somebody when we run to a salesperson, but we have this fear that if we actually tell them the truth, they're going to know that's the truth and they're going to latch onto it, and we're kind of done at that point. So a lot of times we'll tell people things that are very vague, just so we can get them honestly out of our hair, but also assuage the societal norm that we're not supposed to be lying to people. And that's just on the one-on-one. We could go on and on over and over, but the idea is there's things that are unwritten rules in a one-on-one sales situation where what you're going to do, not only for the prospect, but for the salesperson as well. The same goes for group dynamics. So when you're in a group, it's the same thing. There's a different set of unwritten rules. There's things that you're going to say and do, as well as things you're going to not say and not do, that are governed by these unwritten rules. And the overarching factor that really decides and designs these rules is around the concept that we really don't want to do anything embarrassing. So if we're going to this group presentation and you're interested, you'll never see somebody just throw their hand up in the air and say, I want to buy it. Now, they might be thinking it, but they don't want to seem overeager. They don't want to have all the rest of the people in that group tell them, this guy is a total shyster, and I can't believe you did that, because then this person is completely shamed out, and you just can't really recover from that, at least definitely not in their mind, but maybe even in reality. So when it comes to sales, we're going to loop back to what we first talked about. You have a choice. You can make the decision to adhere to a very strict structure that is really not based in reality. It's almost like you're playing a very low-level, kind of easy-level computer game that you should beat every single time. It's really routine and rote, and if you know the pattern, you're good and you'll win every single time. And if you do that, let me know, because I've never lived on that planet. On the other hand, you can choose to actually understand that people are very fluid people with feelings and past histories, positive and negative. And the fact that we all live in a world where we're going to judge people really quickly, and we don't want to be on the wrong side of that. So if you're going to be successful at sales, one of the things you quickly need to realize is that your clients are going to make all their decisions based on these social dynamics. So if you want to be successful, if you want to have the type of results you want to have, you don't have to change your product, you don't have to change your price, you don't even have to change your leads, you don't have to quit your job and get another one. You just need to tap into these unwritten rules. And as we go forward with further lessons, we're going to cover that in depth and talk about what these unwritten rules are and how to actually leverage them so it gives us the power, not just to make the sale. It's not about making the sale. It's about giving you the option so that when somebody indicates that they're interested in your product, that you can decide whether or not you want to sign them up. And the better you get at identifying and leveraging these social dynamics, the more choice you'll have. And the idea isn't to get 1 million clients, okay? That is not the goal. The idea is to get the number of clients you want to get who are as low maintenance, high referring, and as lucrative as possible so that you can have the ideal clientele that you want. And as you move forward, the goal isn't to sign up new clients. The goal is to replace your lowest value client. And even as you start moving in this direction for the first time, making the tiniest first steps, your mindset is going to be completely different. It's going to be changed. You're not going to feel hungry and desperate and needing to get a sale to assuage your manager or to be able to make sure that you're paying your housing on time, especially if you live here in San Diego, because it's insane. But it's getting the type of client that you want, so that when you're getting on the phone or talking to somebody, you already have a preset standard of what you're looking for. And if they don't hit it, fair enough. They can go to somebody else who is that desperate person, who's not watching these videos, who's just praying and hoping that they can get enough sales for this next month just to pay their rent, so they're not living out of their car. So as we move forward in the next few lessons, we're going to continue to get a little deeper and talk about these individual topics that we talk about in the community, and talk about exactly how they apply to your sales job. And really, even in a more broad sense, into your life, whether it's athletics, friendships, romance, really what have you, so that you can escalate and improve the quality of every area of your life.